All right, let's talk about one of the most important parts of any monitoring setup, alerting. When you get it right, it's like having a superhero watching over your system. But when you get it wrong, it's just a whole lot of noise. Today, we're going to walk through how to build really effective, high-quality alerts in Grafana, the kind that actually catch critical issues without driving you crazy with notifications. Okay, let's get into it.
So here's the game plan. First, we'll tackle the biggest enemy, alert fatigue. Then, we'll get our hands dirty and build a quality alert from scratch. After that, we'll figure out how to get it delivered, understand the journey an alert takes from uh-oh to all hands on deck, and finally, how to tell your alerts to take a break when you're doing maintenance. Okay, so let's kick things off with a problem that I'm willing to bet hits close to home for a lot of you, alert fatigue. You know that feeling, right? When you get so many notifications that you just start to tune them out. The only way to fix this is to flip the script and focus on quality over quantity, making sure every single alert is valuable and, most importantly, actionable.
And this quote right here, it absolutely nails it. Thinking of noisy alerts as technical debt is perfect. They're so easy to create in the moment, but over time, they just pile up, creating this constant background noise that makes it so much harder to hear the signals that actually matter. So what really separates a good alert from a noisy one? Well, it all boils down to focus. A good alert is symptom-based. It tells you when your users are actually feeling pain, things like high latency, a spike in errors, or a drop in availability. A noisy alert, on the other hand, is usually focused on the infrastructure, like high CPU on a server. I mean, sure, that might be the cause of a problem, but if it's not actually impacting the user experience, do you really need to be woken up for it? Probably not.
Okay, enough theory. Let's get practical and actually build one of these high-quality alerts. To do that, we first need to understand its basic anatomy, which Grafana calls an alert rule.
At its heart, an alert rule is just a recipe. It's a set of instructions you give to Grafana. You tell it what data to look at with a query, what an oh-no moment looks like with a condition or threshold, and then how often it should go and check. This is literally the blueprint for every single alert you're going to create. And building that blueprint really just comes down to three main steps. First, you write a query to grab the metric you care about. Second, you set the condition, that magic number that if crossed means something is wrong. And third, and this is super important, you define the evaluation behavior. This isn't just how often to check, but also for how long a problem has to exist before it's time to sound the alarm. And that for how long part brings us to a really powerful concept, the pending period. Think of this as a built-in waiting time. When a threshold is first crossed, Grafana doesn't just immediately fire off a notification. Nope. It puts the alert in a pending state and waits. It's basically asking, hey, is this a real problem or just a temporary little blip?
And this is exactly why it's so critical. The pending period is your absolute best friend when it comes to fighting those annoying flapping alerts. You know, the ones that fire 1 minute and resolve the next. By making sure condition is stable and persistent, you make your alerts way more reliable and trustworthy. Okay, so you've built this beautiful, perfect alert. It's not going to flap. It's going to catch real problems. But where does the notification actually go? You've got to get it to the right people. So let's look at how to set up what's called a contact point, and we'll use Slack as our example.
A contact point is pretty much what it sounds like. It's where Grafana sends the notifications. The really cool thing here is that it's a decoupled system. You can set up your destinations, like a specific Slack channel or PagerDuty or just plain old email, one time, and then reuse that same contact point for dozens of different alert rules. It's super efficient. And getting this hooked up with Slack is actually pretty simple. You basically just start in Slack, create a tiny little app, and enable something called incoming webhooks. That gives you a special URL. You copy that, hop back over to Grafana, create a new contact point, pick Slack, and paste the URL in. Hit the test button to make sure it works, save it, and you are good to go. All right, so we know how to build them and we know where to send them. But what actually happens behind the scenes when an alert's condition is met? Let's follow the journey, the life cycle of an alert, because understanding this is key to getting everything tuned just right. So everything starts here, in the normal state. This is when the sun is shining, your system is happy, and your alert's condition is not being met. All is well. But then, boom, something crosses the line. The threshold is breached. The instant that happens, the alert transitions into the pending state. Now remember, no notification goes out yet. The clock on that pending period we talked about has just started ticking. Now, if that bad condition sticks around and doesn't resolve itself, once that pending period is over, the alert finally moves to the firing state. This is the moment the notification gets sent out to your Slack channel, to PagerDuty, wherever you told it to go. So let's just quickly recap what we just saw. Normal means everything's good. Pending is that, hang on, let's just make sure this is a real problem, waiting room. And alerting, or firing, is when it's time to actually pay attention. This whole life cycle is what turns a simple check into a truly reliable signal. Okay, but what about those times when you know things are going to get a little weird? You're in the middle of a big deployment, you're doing database maintenance, you don't want your whole team getting spammed with alerts you were fully expecting. That's where silences come in. Think of a silence as a temporary mute button. You can say, hey, Grafana, between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. today, just don't send me any notifications for these specific alerts. The really important thing to know is that Grafana is still evaluating the rules in the background. It's just not bugging you about them. Now, it's really important not to get silences confused with mute timings. They sound similar, but they're for totally different jobs. A silence is for a one-off thing, like that deployment this afternoon. A mute timing is for a recurring schedule. For example, maybe you want to mute non-critical alerts every single weekend, or every night during a backup window. That's a job for a mute timing. So, to bring this all together, here's a little checklist you can run through every time you create a new alert. Is it actually actionable? Does someone own it? Is it focused on a real user symptom? Is there a link to a dashboard or a runbook so someone knows what to do? Is it tuned to avoid flapping? And maybe most importantly, have you checked on it recently to make sure it's still relevant? If you can check all these boxes, you are well on your way. And there you have it. By focusing on symptoms, using tools like the pending period, and being smart about your notifications, you can really transform your alerts from frustrating noise into some of your most valuable signals. So now your alerts are smarter. The real question is, what's the first part of your system you're going to give a voice to? Thanks for joining.